Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Fallout Friday. So, no need to adjust your set, the video is supposed to be this dark. As I'm sure many of you are aware, Resident Evil VII came out this week, so I thought I'd do something in that kind of vein for a build this week. So, this is intended to be a creepy ass house, so to keep the intended effect, we're going to do the silent tour first. And I'll show you how I've done what I've done, and we'll do a fully illuminated tour at the end. So as always, if you like what you see, hit that big red button, and let's get stuck in. So then, as you can probably see, we're at Abernathy Farm. Wanted a decently sized space, preferably on a slope for this one, because I'm building a cellar into it, as you've already seen. And that's where we're starting. It's going to be the base of it. That's obviously it's much easier to build these things from the ground up. It will be getting bigger in a bit, so this is just far too small. And yeah, I had some slight issue getting the corners on with this, and I have absolutely no clue why. It was driving me nuts. You see, it's just not playing ball. This happened all the way around this cellar. It's not because it's sunk into the ground, because it snapped just fine there. At least I don't think it is. Still. Select all with a concrete pillar, move it into place, fiddle around a bit. Rob is your father's brother. So, the main house is going to be built up over the top of this, and because it's basically going to be inside the main foundation, it doesn't matter too much that there's going to be light showing through. When we eventually get it to play ball, anyway. Again, because the walls are all hidden, I've basically gone for these ones that are nice and simple, and they block out most of the light down there. But, yeah, problem persisting, so just attempted the same thing on that side. I did wonder here if sticking the upper floor on would give it something to snap to. Sadly, it didn't want to cooperate with that either. Yeah, see what I mean? Still, select all works, so that's what we went with. And having the upper floor on does make it a lot easier to snap the foundations on in a moment, which means I can build the rest of the house around it much more easily. So there we go. Just grab that and move in. There's an awful lot of this on the cellar here. It's a bit temperamental, but if you just jiggle it about a bit, just be careful to get the edges lined up in the right place. It does tend to work. There we go. So, from here, built outwards using the foundation. A couple of occasions where I went, nope, not big enough, and kept on expanding. We get there in a moment. It's dead simple, it snaps on nice and easy. Obviously it's not... And there we go with the level. Obviously it's not going to be sat this high up when I'm done. Partly because it looks ridiculous, and partly because I wanted a dirt floor for the cellar. So we'll just select all and sink the whole thing in a second. There we go, expanding it again. I did want to have a separate area in the cellar here, so I'd have that internal wall there, but wound up being far too much hassle, so I didn't bother in the end. The end result's pretty good. Oh look, it won't snap again. Drastic thing. I don't know if it's just that wall piece or what, but I was stubborn about it and didn't want to change it. Snap the roof on. That gap that I've left there is going to be the place where the ladder will go in a bit. See when we do the upstairs in a moment. So yep, rinse and repeat. Just make sure you're lining up the left-hand edge in this case with the edge of the foundation piece, otherwise they won't fit. So, this is what the top looks like. A hole down into the cellar at the moment. Again, we'll expand it out a little bit further here. Place a decent sized house. Because we're going for a creepy Resident Evil house, and if it's that tiny, it's just not going to work. Go with a kind of maze-like design on the inside a bit, really. So it helps create the atmosphere we're going for. We'll sort that in just a moment. There we go. For some reason, it didn't highlight the foundation pieces here, but I think that actually just made it easier to sink the thing in. See, it's not quite far enough there. See that corner there. So I'll just grab it again, lower it down. But the concrete pillar's all fine with it, so doesn't really matter that it hasn't selected. Plus the foundations are either no longer floating or you can't tell. Doesn't really much matter which. So This would be a heck of a lot easier if I'd figured out where I wanted the windows and doors before I started putting the walls on, but I was daft. It's been a while since I've used wood pieces. I realise this is starting to look just a little boxy, but the end result is borne out by the effort here, I think. So, get the door into place. Now I'm starting to figure out where I want the windows as well. Just go with the vanilla one there. Check the roof pieces again, the wall pieces rather, and actually figure out what I'm doing. Clearly, those aren't going to snap into place for interior walls, so we end up doing those manually in a bit. Oh, I figured it out now, so I'll just stick the walls in. Eventually. Most of the windows ended up getting covered up in some way or boarded up in some way anyway, because I wanted the dark, dingy atmosphere inside. Which when you see the tour at the end, I'll do a fully illuminated one so you get a better picture of the finished product. And there we have it. We have walls. So I started sticking the upper floor on just to make sure the interior walls were going to go underneath. As we see, they clearly do. So we'll carry on and fill that in. And pick up in just a second. There we go. So I ended up running around for ages trying to get a picture in my head here of what I want to do. And we end up going for modded pieces. As you can see there, however, internal doors are going to be a bit of a problem, which I'll come back to in just a moment. Because these wall pieces here are added by unlocked settlement objects, and I could have used them on the outside, but they were taken away from the ramshackle look of it, so I didn't. Nice and easy once you got them in the right place, they will now snap. The upshot of that is I can't rug glitch the large ones anymore, which is a bit unfortunate, but the half walls still rug glitch. Well, the modded ones do, the ones I did with the game don't. So just drop that staircase in, much easier from the bottom. So it's much easier to get these walls in when you're snapping where possible. But a lot of it just has to be done manually. Yeah, I don't know why I ever thought that was going to work. Oh well, nice idea. Bang, bang. So, the advantage to using the wood pieces here, apart from the aesthetic of it, is that the planks provide nice simple lines to follow for positioning the internal walls. It makes it a lot easier to get them straight, if they don't flicker like crazy anyway. But, as you can see, we just drop it in, come around to the side we want to move it towards, and move it back. And the next one just snaps in quite nicely. End up going over the top with a full-size wall, so I can take advantage of the snapping like this, and then you just take it out and move the half-size in nice and easily. Just plug the gap like we do so many other things. So yeah, internal doors. The doors Bethesda provide, and the ones I did by unlocked settlement objects as well, are far too tall to be used inside buildings, so I had to break my one rule and install Place Anywhere, or Swapper on PS4, which wound up being fraught with difficulties. A little bit of help from Mad Queen, who gave me some pointers on her load order, which took some of the problems away, but at the end of it, although I was able to put the internal walls in downstairs okay, every time I tried to take one upstairs, the game just crashed completely. Which, needless to say, ended in screaming and rage quitting. So I will not be using that again, if I can possibly avoid it anyway. If you happen to have a good time with it, great, but I do not. So I'm not particularly bothered either, because I never really wanted to use it in the first place. But the solution I ended up coming up with was to build a sort of scaffold around the outside of the building, which I did off camera because it was extremely frustrating, and stand well outside the building and just sort of reach in with it and position it in from there, which made it very difficult to see what I was doing. But we managed. Fortunately with this build it doesn't matter too much if they're a little bit wonky, it just adds to the creepy effect. So anyway, getting towards putting on the upper floor now. This is where you start to see the bizarre layout I've gone for here. Oh, so I was going to say, much of the decoration is fairly basic. There's a couple of little techniques in there I also picked up from Mad Queen, so you should definitely go and check her channel out if you haven't already. Yep, nice and easy, snap it into place. Obviously they don't quite fit here, but as you'll see in just a moment, it doesn't really matter. This is where the crazy design starts. Yep. These are a bit fiddly to get lined up, but again, doesn't matter too much if they're not perfect. Bang, bang, nice and easy. Makes it a lot easier to line up where I want the door. Which is going to be somewhere in here. One good thing about these half walls that are added by the mod is they have very soft edges, so you just basically push them into the other pieces. So they are extremely forgiving, which is very helpful. So, I can actually rug glitch these as well. As you can see from this corner, the gap's not fitting with the larger pieces, not if I want the corridor to work anyway. So, pull that one out to free up the space for the door. And these invisible rugs were recently added in Unlock Settlement Objects, and if you have to leave the rug there, they're actually very handy. As it turned out I didn't have to here, but it just kind of makes it harder, but you get the gist, they work the same way. There's an added bonus. It seems to be that when you take the rugs away when you're using these invisible ones, it doesn't seem to jump about as much. It sinks down ever so slightly, but I'm fine with that, see? Just like that. But it seems to be much more controlled than the other ones. At least so far, anyway. There we are. I'm going to jump on ahead now, because that's most of what I wanted to show you. And the upstairs is basically repeating the same sort of thing, albeit with a different pattern. So, we'll have a look at a couple of other little bits and pieces. Yep, cellar's looking creepy as hell. And I've just maxed out Curie's affection as well, which is what I wanted to do. So yeah, as we see our big square box. I did attempt to texturise the walls using the end caps, which actually snap over the main wall pieces without too much difficulty. And I ended up having issues with the windows and stuff. So when I added the upper level on, which basically becomes the attic, I used the end caps for that, and then just rug glitched in some half walls and other bits and pieces just to block the gap up a little bit. This texturising here did not really turn out all that well. I have to take the window out because that one wouldn't snap over it. Whereas if I use the other one, it's too solid and you can't see through the window at all. So, still, it's results that count. There we go, it's the one that you can see through, but the window won't go in. So moving upstairs, I wanted to block out as much of the light as possible. Which, if you're not using the mod, this is a useful trick. I am and should have thought of using the mod, but I didn't. So if you spin the wall piece around, just move it as close as possible so that the gaps don't line up. You can then just snap either side and build a second inner wall just like that. And because the pieces don't line up, it blocks out most of the light. Nice and easy. The other snag I ran into, it's always one thing to build with wood, is that if you're more than 2 squares wide, the roof pieces look ridiculous in the middle. So I have just snapped in some flat ones. But these angled ones, as much as I wanted to use them, again, let in far too much light. As you can see, the flat roof pieces just snap straight underneath. Nice and easy, and block out all the light. It's brilliant. This part of the building doesn't actually have a loft over it, so we've got just shack floors down there. I snap the roofs on around the outside, and it just snapped in neat as you like from there. Does that come off? There we go. Still leaves this gap here, but a couple of railings, and job's done. And that is pretty much everything I wanted to show you. So we'll move on to the tour. Let me know what you think of all this greenery and sort of forested effect I've put in here. It's all stuff from Unlockable Objects, but I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. Considering it was really quick and easy to do as well. Creates much more atmosphere for the nighttime tour. You see we've got a few loungers lying out on the deck there. Going through the front door. Literally no atmosphere when it's daytime, but you can see the furniture's just sort of thrown down any which way. To a degree anyway. You can see the decoration a little bit more. There is a reasonable amount of OCD used in this. However, as it was faffy as heck, and most of these shelves don't really want to cooperate with it, I ended up not bothering. Let's face it, the people who live here probably don't read a lot of books. Do like the Brahmin skull though. So just random stuff dumped around. Coffin with a skeleton on the table. That ended up being a bit of a nightmare. The skeleton just wedged in the ceiling when I tried to put it down for some reason, so I just selected the ceiling piece and it just dropped straight into the coffin. Which was kind of funny, but... yeah, some stuffed animal heads. This is made vastly easier by using FreeMaker. So we've got a... just to create the junk items, I mean, by the way, there. So we've got bits and pieces down here from the Unlock Settlement Objects mod, and coupled with some Raider pieces as well. A few odds and ends from Far Harbour, just to create that crazy psycho effect. There's a couple of machetes in the display case there, but you can't really see them. And unfortunately, OC Decorator doesn't seem to want to work with those, so it's manual only. No idea why there's a gravestone and a printing press, but why the hell not? More random kind of little altars. Even Hound head. I'm quite pleased that those little sideboards are as thin as they are. So I put a bit of furniture in the corridor so it doesn't look quite so bare, and no pun intended, and still be able to get past. So yeah, we've got Nuka-World Raider pieces here. That's on the pack mannequins. Yeah, the carpets are added by Unlock Settlement Objects. Some nice clean ones if that's what you want, but wouldn't really suit this build. And Random Dead Super Mutant. I did want to put him on the bed, but neither the corpses nor the skeletons wanted to play ball on that one. Jaws Browning Skull, some more rat heads. These paintings, I think, are the ones from Pickman's Gallery, but added by Unlock Settlement Objects again. I do love that little animatronic. Creepy as in this house. Bathroom, I struggled a bit with this one, partly because of the size of the place. That little body in the bathtub was a Mad Queen show trick. Should check out the cards, so put a link up there for to her video, rather, the tutorial. Yeah, we've got Raider flags. It's, I would like something a little bit more colourful. And Brahmin on the bed. I'm really glad I managed to pull that off. It's ridiculous, but I love it. Yeah, I would like something a bit more colourful, but they fit the theme better than anything else. Let's face it, it wouldn't really suit having Brotherhood of Steel flag up in here. Little nod to Fallout with the trunk there. I do love these hidden doors that are so rarely get opportunity to actually put a hidden room in somewhere. But again, the drawback is they're a nightmare to decorate, because the shelves are so narrow. I may slightly have been running out of ideas up here, so I just threw a lot of random weird junk up there. There's bits of Nuka-World, there's bits of all sorts up there. I have any idea why the type of people who would live here would grab stuff from Nuka-World and drag it all this way, but what the hell. And that is our Resident Evil build, if we don't get stabbed on the way out. Thank you very much as always for watching. If you'd like to, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Facebook /DarthXionGames. And make sure you hit that big red button if you'd like to. And I will be speaking to you soon.